we will move on with our agenda, and we have the pleasure and the honor to have our former president, always member of our family, yes, Apostolos TZITZIKOSTAS with us, who is the first president to become commissioner in the European Commission. We are super proud that you are there, and still we are one family. You're here today with us on tourism, but as we exchanged a little bit, you are always welcome here, and you are very welcome also on transport. And you have many other things too, because most of us are interested in tourism, but transport, every one of us is interested. So we will have you back, hopefully, as many times as possible. So I will not take the time, not of yours and not of the members, so please, I'll give you the floor. Thank you very much for coming, and then we will start the debates. Apostolos, please.
Thank you very much, President Tuto, my dear friend Kata. I have to admit that I'm very moved today to be here. After all, not more than 6 months ago, I was sitting on this very chair, and I feel a part of this great family, the family of regions and cities of the European Union. I've been part of this family for 10 years, so as you understand, it is a place that I call home. And if I may, I will keep calling it home. And I want you to know, President and dear members of the European Committee of Regions, that whenever you want me to be here to discuss issues that are concerning my portfolio, whether it is infrastructure projects or transport or maritime or tourism or the automotive sector, feel free to let me know, and I will be always here to discuss with you. After all, for me, cities and regions are at the very heart both of transport and tourism, the main two policies of my portfolio. So thank you for inviting me and for giving me the pleasure and the honor to see many of my friends in this room, and for the opportunity to exchange on a very important topic today, tourism. But you know, over the years, I have greatly valued the insights and the knowledge shared in this committee. So today, I'm here not just to inform, but to listen. And when I say today, I mean at the very first steps towards our first ever European strategy for sustainable tourism. So I come here to begin writing the pages of this new strategy with you, because I know that you have a very valuable input, knowledge, experience from the ground. And I want to stress this out, that I believe that always the power of cities, regions, regional governors, mayors and councillors, and the power of this committee, the European Committee of Regions, lies to the ground, to the roots, to the villages, the cities and the regions of Europe, where everything starts and everything ends, and where the real issues and problems of the citizens are. So I need your experience, and that's why I'm here today, because this is, after all, the true added value of the European Committee of the Regions, and I intend to make full use of it in the coming years. So, dear colleagues, as you know very well, tourism is a bridge between people, places, businesses, visitors and communities. It is the catalyst for the positive change that Europe needs right now. Tourism drives economic growth and development. It generates revenue, which must remain as close as possible to the local communities. But it also empowers local businesses. It creates jobs. Let me give you some key figures. We count around 20 million workers today in Europe, in over 3 million small tourism businesses. Tourism contributes 10% to the European GDP, with some countries reaching up to 25% of their GDP, and some regions, and some cities, and some destinations depend entirely on it. In 2024, tourism in Europe broke new records, surpassing both pre-pandemic and 2023 heights. More than 3 billion nights were spent in tourist accommodation, out of which 18% were spent by non-EU travellers. In the first quarter of this year alone, we already reached 452 million nights. But of course, the situation is not the same across Europe. Some regions are struggling, either because of the proximity to war zones, such as Ukraine, or because they have yet to be discovered by travellers. And we need to shine the light on these destinations to help them gain the visibility that they deserve. But we must also be and remain realistic. Tourism is a fragile sector by nature. It is exposed to volatility, from pandemic to geopolitical tensions. That's why we want the ongoing revision of the Travel Package Directive to provide more legal certainty for both consumers and businesses in the sector. Yet, despite the challenges, I remain optimistic, because the value of tourism goes beyond its economic impact, especially for local communities, because it brings people together. It creates opportunities for regions and cities to share their traditions, their culture, their heritage, and ultimately their values. So this is why it is so important to preserve tourism's unique local character and ensure it benefits the local communities while protecting their cultural and natural heritage. We must promote a positive narrative for tourism, one that highlights its benefits. Paris successfully did it during the Olympic Games. Barcelona is doing it through dedicated campaigns. Other regions and cities must follow too. But above all, we must strike a balance between economic growth and the well-being of the citizens at every destination, between visitor quality experience and sustainability. And when I use the word sustainable, I mean in its broader sense. Of course, tourism must not harm the environment or the natural landscape, but it must also respect people, communities, local identities, and cultural heritage. We are talking here about sustainability also as receiving capacity. We need to measure the carrying capacity of a given destination, and I mean it mostly in terms of number of tourists that can be received without causing disruption to physical, economic, or socio-cultural environment. Dear colleagues, no one knows better than you how closely tourism is linked to local and regional governance. You are the ones managing the flows. You are the ones building the infrastructures. You are the ones who are feeling the pressure or the lack of demand. At the Commission, we respect the principle of subsidiarity, and our role is to complement yours. We do it through legislation, through coordination, through funding, peer learning, exchange of good practices, and financial support. Now let me highlight a few key figures. Cohesion policy remains a strong ally for tourism. 4.2 billion euro from the ERDF has been allocated to support sustainable and smart tourism businesses and destinations in the current programming period, and the recent mid-term review refers also to tourism in rural areas. The Recovery and Resilience Facility has earmarked and will receive up to 13 billion euro for tourism. Unfortunately, not all member states have chosen to do it. In total, this brings us around 17 billion euro. But let me be clear, it is not enough. And this is what I said to the ministers last week in Warsaw at the Ministerial Council. The RRF will end soon, and I believe that tourism should have a dedicated budget line in the future. We need to secure that the objective of sustainable tourism is enshrined in the main funds, starting from the Competitiveness Fund and the ERDF. Today, financial support is scattered across several funds, which are sometimes difficult to access by SMEs that are the backbone of the sector. We need to simplify the programs and the way that you, regions, cities and your businesses manage to reach funding for tourism. We are also looking at new synergies between the future tourism strategy and the updated EU Rural Action Plan in order to explore how rural tourism can boost local economies, address demographic challenges and rebalance tourism flows. And in urban areas we support smart, green, digital, innovative tourism solutions. And I want to congratulate Torino, that was awarded the 2025 European Capital of Smart Tourism, and Benidorm, the green pioneer of Smart Tourism 2025. And let me also commend Mayor Roberto Gualtieri of Rome for launching the Giulia initiative, an application funded by the RFF. This collaborative effort between the municipality of Rome, ChatGPT and Microsoft gathers vital visitor data upon arrival and provides them with practical information. I used it last week during my visit in Rome. And this collected data helps manage crowd flow and enhances the experience for both tourists and the local community by offering real-time service information. It is an amazing project that should be copied by other cities as well and destinations. Dear colleagues, the Commission also supports sustainable tourism partnerships under the European Urban Agenda and our transition pathway for tourism, which was developed just right after the COVID pandemic, helped to boost the sector's resilience and accelerated the green and digital transitions. Member States supported the pathway adopting the Agenda for Tourism 2030, and these are the building blocks for the first ever European strategy for sustainable tourism that we are preparing, and we will present it early 2026 next year. Last week in Warsaw, in the ministerial meeting for tourism, we discussed some key priorities of this new strategy: boosting global competitiveness of our tourism sector, increased resilience to shocks, ensuring a safe and secure environment for businesses and tourists, advancing sustainability with support for destinations already on this path, collecting comparable data in a common space, something which is fundamental, the need for clearer rules and a reduced administrative burden for SMEs, stronger promotion of lesser-known destinations, especially in rural areas, sustainable connectivity, digital tools, including AI, to support destination management organizations that need to be run by cities and regions who have the knowledge to do that in order to address unbalanced tourism in several hotspots. Let me stress a point here. I speak of unbalanced tourism, but I don't speak on over-tourism, because I don't believe that such a thing exists, like over-tourism. Because let's be honest, currently there are more regions which suffer of under-tourism. So the real challenge is to find the right balance and promote the right narrative. Still, in places where tourism is unbalanced and overwhelming some period in the year, communities are rightly concerned. And we must listen and we must act. And I'm here to help find a solution to the problem of unbalanced tourism. But the issues are far much more complex than they look. And I'm talking here about housing, short-term rentals, infrastructure. Tourism, dear members, is only part of the picture, but not the whole picture. To tackle this unbalanced tourism, we need strong destination management organization with the right tools, including AI, with data, to manage flows and avoid the trap of tourism phobia. This is what we need to avoid at all costs. Because ultimately, tourism must remain a positive force, a source of pride, a source of identity and of prosperity. So, dear colleagues, the new EU tourism strategy will indeed offer guidance on each of these points that I presented to you, and many more, reflecting the needs of all the stakeholders within the tourism ecosystem. And I believe our focus and some flagship initiatives must be on: first, competitiveness by supporting SMEs and their twin transition. Second, sustainability, including seamless cross-border transport like car rentals. We are giving an end to this problem where citizens and visitors could not rent a car from one country and leave it to another. We are bringing the regulation that will end this so that rentals of cars will be able to happen anytime, all across any 27 member states, for a person to be able to get a car from one country and leave it in another without extra costs. And I will propose, together with this strategy, a simplification of the cross-border car rental. Third, branding by targeting new emerging markets with strategic messaging. Fourth, skills by addressing a very big problem that tourism has, labour shortages. To this end, we will propose a flagship initiative to tackle this challenge by promoting vocational training through, for instance, the creation of a virtual academy of the European Union for tourism. And our strategy will only succeed if it is built with your input, dear colleagues. That's why we launched 2 consultations, a targeted stakeholder consultation in May and a public consultation that opened on the 20th of June. We already have 150 responses and counting. So today I look forward to your ideas, your needs, your proposals, your expectations. You are not just partners in implementation. For me, you will be the co-authors of this first ever tourism strategy. I also encourage you to transform your destination marketing organizations in your cities and regions into destination management organizations, to move from promotion only of a destination to responsibility, from volume only to value, from quality to quantity. I know that next week the NAT Commission will be discussing the draft opinion on sustainable and resilient tourism, led by the President of the Balearic Islands. I urgently await the outcome of this meeting. The strategy's success will depend on our shared commitment, and I have no doubt that we are on the same side. This is your strategy too, because I will truly support these regions and the municipalities, the cities and the villages all across Europe, whether you are trying to meet demand or to attract it or to manage it. And I know that I can count on you to mobilize Europe's regions and cities for this vital discussion on the future of tourism. Together, dear colleagues, we can make this strategy a success, and we will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Commissioner TZITZIKOSTAS, dear Apostolos, thank you very much. So please keep in mind the deadline, okay? It's 12th of September to enter this public consultation in writing too. Today is important, but that's important too. We will move out now to, I will give the floor to the members. Please keep the time. You will hear a sound after your time is off, which means that please then finish, wrap up. The floor goes now to TZITZIKOSTAS.
Thank you, dear Commissioner, dear Apostolos. It's so great to have you back here, home, as you said yourself. I also want to refer to Kierkegaard. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to see and believe what is true. And what is true, that tourism is for sure strong in Europe and should be even stronger. Thank you for your great presentation. Tourism is a huge driver for employment and economic success for many cities and regions in all Europe. We are ready to make sure that it's contained, future-proof and sustainable, what you said. That is why we want close cooperation with you, Commissioner. And what do we expect? We expect the commitment to work with local and regional authorities and to support them in their efforts. We expect the commitment to convince online platforms to share reliable, timely and accurate data, enabling us to make informed decisions and to pursue rogue hosts. We expect commitment to support cities and regions also financially, facilitating their access to EU funding for smart, green and digital tourism projects. And then the last, commitment to include cities and regions in technical support investment instruments, normally reserved to member states only, and providing tailored expertise and advice on designing and implementation on resilience-enhancing reforms. So finally, dear Apostolos, we are hoping for a proper tourism funding line in the future MFF, as you already mentioned, that would be enabled not just to support the SMEs, but also the local and regional authorities. And I know we are having hot here. Thank God we have different parts of Europe, so we can swift to different parts and see different kinds of climates. Europe's richness, its variety. We need to work together. Thank you so much, and all the best for your work.
Thank you very much. Right on time. Mathieu Cuip.
Merci Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire, chers collègues. Le débat d'aujourd'hui évidemment est un enjeu fondamental pour nos territoires. Vous l'avez dit, dans ma région, l'Île-de-France, où nous étions ensemble la semaine dernière, qui est la plus visitée au monde, nous sommes évidemment particulièrement concernés et mobilisés pour concilier à la fois attractivité, croissance, mais aussi acceptabilité sociale évidemment du tourisme, avec bien sûr l'exigence environnementale. Alors que la Commission prépare, vous venez de nous le dire, sous votre impulsion, une stratégie pour un tourisme durable en Europe, je voulais vous partager ici quelques idées. D'abord, vous l'avez souligné, on vous en remercie, un engagement financier clair. On va entamer la révision du cadre financier pluriannuel et il est essentiel, malgré les arbitrages qu'on sait tous ici, évidemment très difficile de garantir une ligne budgétaire dédiée au tourisme pour l'après 2027. Nos territoires ont besoin de financement stable, clair, pour mener à bien évidemment cette transition du secteur, dont l'importance, vous l'avez rappelé dans votre propos liminaire, est évidemment cruciale et capitale pour un grand nombre de nos territoires. Deuxièmement, peut-être la méthode, vous l'avez déjà souligné, miser sur l'intelligence collective des territoires, privilégier au fond une approche de réseau, des plateformes de coopération régionale, comme par exemple Nextour, qui fédère plus de 45 régions sur ces sujets touristiques, d'ailleurs j'ai l'honneur d'être le vice-président exécutif, ont déjà, je crois, démontré leur efficacité. Et à ce titre, je voudrais saluer tous les collègues qui participent ici au Comité des régions à la Task Force Tourisme et qui sont particulièrement engagés. On aura le plaisir de vous recevoir pour échanger et vous partager nos propositions. Troisièmement, une stratégie claire, lisible et clairement tournée vers l'avenir. Le tourisme doit être intégré dans les grandes priorités de l'Union, à commencer peut-être par le Clean Industrial Deal. La décarbonation doit être soutenue par des mécanismes qui existent déjà, soyons efficaces, comme par exemple les recettes de l'ETS ou le fonds innovation. Et le tourisme coche d'ailleurs toutes les cases pour ça. Il est créateur d'emplois, il renforce la compétitivité, il contribue à notre indépendance énergétique, il accélère aussi la régénération des territoires et puis il est un élément clé des mobilités courtes et longues distances. Et donc pour renforcer cette dynamique, il est aussi essentiel de placer la data, les données au cœur de la stratégie, vous l'avez souligné, et beaucoup de nos régions ont déjà commencé à travailler là-dessus. Cher Apostolos, je tiens à vous remercier pour votre engagement en faveur de cette future stratégie et nous serons à vos côtés. Je vous remercie.
Merci. The floor goes now to Carolina Darias San Sebastián.
Estimado comisario, queridos colegas, agradezco la oportunidad de este debate, porque hablar de turismo sostenible es hablar del futuro y del presente de las ciudades, de nuestra ciudad y nuestras regiones. Soy alcaldesa de Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, una ciudad-isla que es un referente en turismo urbano por su clima, su cultura y su diversidad, pero especialmente por su compromiso con un modelo turístico mucho más sostenible, inclusivo y resiliente. Nuestro turismo es una de las fuentes principales de riqueza de la economía de la ciudad, pero tenemos que hacerlo de manera sostenible para que nuestra ciudad siga siendo una ciudad para la vida de quienes ellas habitan. Por ello hemos de hacer frente a algunos retos compartidos. Uno de ellos es la sostenibilidad del turismo, la social. Y, por tanto, creemos que es necesario mantener algunos equilibrios. Estos son 3 factores. Que nuestra ciudad siga siendo, en primer lugar, un foco de atracción para las personas que nos visitan. En segundo lugar, que los habitantes de la ciudad sigan valorando positivamente la influencia del turismo en nuestras condiciones de vida. En tercer lugar, que encontremos el modo de hacer que quienes nos visitan también la ciudad se ofrezcan las mejores condiciones de vida para quienes viven en ella y que sea un atractivo turístico para quienes vengan, y también ofrecer las mejores condiciones para que deseen vivir en ella. Parece sencillo, pero es bastante complejo. Las Palmas de Gran Canaria es una ciudad con una dilatada trayectoria histórica, especialmente en la experiencia de la industria del turismo MICE. Casi 1,5 millones de turistas recibimos cada año en nuestra ciudad y ese volumen de personas ha permanecido constante salvo los años de la pandemia. La relación entre la ciudad y el turismo es una historia de éxito, pero necesitamos que la historia siga teniendo éxito y para ello tenemos que ser capaces de seguir mejorando las condiciones de vida de quienes viven en la ciudad y también quienes nos visitan. Piensen que la ciudad acoge el cuádruple de personas como turistas de la población de derecho, y eso es un dato muy importante. Pero hay un dato que quiero compartir con todos ustedes y es el equilibrio que se ha roto, y es como consecuencia de la vivienda vacacional. Una opción que cada vez eligen más personas y que está generando efectos muy negativos en el mercado de la vivienda de la ciudad de Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Por eso estamos dando respuesta a la necesidad de la ciudadanía del crecimiento de una demanda de vivienda, pero también creemos que hay que dar una respuesta y poner coto al crecimiento de los alquileres de las personas que habitan en la ciudad. Por eso hemos solicitado que Las Palmas de Gran Canaria sea declarada como zona de mercado residencial tensionado, apartamiento par el nivel de los alquileres o el precio. Y muy importante también, tenemos que seguir construyendo vivienda. El Gobierno de la ciudad está comprometido a construir 1.000 viviendas en régimen de alquiler para facilitar la vida a las personas que viven en la ciudad, que es un dato muy importante. Y también seguimos avanzando en nuestro sistema de inteligencia turística para mejorar los servicios que ofrecemos a los turistas que nos visitan, al tiempo también que para aumentar la calidad de los servicios en Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Y, por supuesto, tenemos que seguir haciendo hábitos saludables de vida, promoción de vida sostenible, seguro, saludable para la población urbana y para quienes nos visiten. Por eso estamos comprometidos y compartimos lo que nos ha dicho el comisario de seguir que las instituciones europeas redoblen su compromiso con la sostenibilidad turística, en particular a través de fondos y mecanismos específicos para las ciudades que promuevan la eficiencia energética, la economía circular, la digitalización y la transformación del modelo turístico hacia la sostenibilidad. Creo que la estrategia va a ser un buen instrumento para alcanzarlo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. The floor goes now to Mirja Vekapera.
Thank you, President. In my own city, Oulu, we own Sustainable Tourist label. Visit Oulu have our own certificate. Many companies are engaged in sustainable tourism. The city has a sustainable tourist program, development plan, and EU projects has been done. This sounds like a familiar for all of you. Oulu has also participated in the EU Commission's Sustainable EU Tourism projects. In the future, we have to develop measurements and communication, preparing a tourist analysis and action plan in European level. Dear all, heat waves, floods, wildfires, climate change will affect tourist flow and activities. If global warming continues, tourism will be impossible in part of Europe during the summer months. Eyes are turning north to the more Arctic regions. The north has unequal nature and natural resources. we have 4 really different seasons. 5 million people live in Arctic regions, as indigenous people too. We have traditional professions, for example, reindeer herding. Decisions about the growth of tourists are topics with local residents, municipalities and companies. We need a good dialogue. Nature must not be destroyed. We must act wisely. What we don't have, we need better connections and hotel and accommodation capacity and workers in high season. Renew Europe sees sustainable tourism not just an environmental necessity, but as a tremendous opportunity to innovate, improve local communities and create green jobs. Finally, one takeaway and invitation. Many guest groups, conference delegations visit in our municipalities and cities. Instead of goods and material, why don't you plant a tree or a piece of protected forest as a gift? An invitation. In my own hometown, home city Oulu, we do culture climate change. Commissioner and all of you are warmly welcome to enjoy our European Capital of Culture Year 2026 in Oulu. We are wild city, cool contrasts and brave hinterland. Thank you.
Kiitos. Floor goes now to Marco Marsilio.
Caro Commissario, il turismo per essere davvero considerato sostenibile non deve tenere conto del solo aspetto ambientale, ma deve essere attento anche alle altre 2 dimensioni volte a tutelare l'economia locale, quella economica e quella culturale, a difesa delle tradizioni dei nostri borghi, valorizzando le produzioni artigianali, prodotti enogastronomici a chilometro zero. Gli investimenti in porti, ferrovie, aeroporti e mobilità sostenibile sono le priorità per rendere il turismo davvero sostenibile in tutta l'Europa. Se ci sono luoghi che hanno troppi turisti e luoghi che ne hanno troppi pochi, è perché ci sono luoghi in Europa che sono troppo facilmente raggiungibili e molto connessi e altri dove invece per poterci giungere si spende molto tempo e molti soldi. E i lavoratori che lavorano mesi per guadagnarsi qualche giorno di diritto alle ferie e quindi al turismo non sprecano soldi e tempo, quel poco che ne hanno a disposizione, per arrivare in posti irraggiungibili. Per questo anche nella mia regione ho lavorato per abolire la tassa dell'addizionale municipale dell'aeroporto, ottenendo come risultato che rispetto al mese di giugno 2024 questo mese di giugno ha realizzato l'incremento del 40% dei passeggeri. Allo stesso tempo va però ricordato che le regioni periferiche che si sobbarcano questi oneri lo fanno su costo del proprio bilancio ordinario. Quindi la vera coesione che c'è gran bisogno di realizzare in Europa è quella delle infrastrutture che uniscono le realtà periferiche e marginali con le aree metropolitane, mentre oggi le grandi infrastrutture, a cominciare dalla rete dei corridoi europei della TEN-T, uniscono solo le direttrici che collegano decine di milioni di cittadini e di residenti, dimenticando le aree rurali e quelle montane o quelle insulari. Bisogna fare come si sta già facendo sul digitale. Il trasporto e le connessioni devono essere un servizio universale per il quale bisogna stanziare fondi. Per fare un esempio, nella mia regione, che è a soli 100, massimo 200 chilometri dalla capitale dell'Italia, Roma, una delle città più importanti e più connesse del mondo, servono 3 ore e mezza per arrivare con il treno dalla mia regione e questo rende il turismo davvero insostenibile. Per questo chiediamo investimenti dell'Europa per permettere una vera coesione. Ultimo, 2 secondi per dire che ci aspettiamo con l'occasione, mi permetto di ricordarle quanta attesa c'è per la revisione prevista sulla direttiva delle emissioni sulla CO2 per l'automotive e per i van, rispetto alla quale ci attendiamo passi in avanti in nome del principio della neutralità tecnologica. Grazie e scusi Presidente per il tempo che mi sono preso.
Grazie. Nanette Maupertu.
Merci Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire. D'abord, je souhaite saluer votre présence parmi nous, j'ai envie de dire votre retour, une voix amie des territoires et une voix aussi amie des régions insulaires en particulier. Merci pour votre proposition de travail. Alors, en Corse, comme dans d'autres destinations, le tourisme de demain ne peut plus être celui de la surfréquentation concentrée sur quelques semaines et en quelques endroits. Le tourisme durable, lui, doit être mieux réparti dans l'espace et dans le temps. Et je souscris évidemment aux différentes propositions que vous avez évoquées en la matière. La Corse, que je représente ici, a déjà une vision de ce type. Elle a adopté une feuille de route du tourisme durable, sous mon autorité d'ailleurs, et son agence du tourisme, aujourd'hui, a des exemples concrets d'actions qui portent leurs fruits. D'abord, une charte du tourisme durable qui engage les professionnels dans une démarche de responsabilité sociale et environnementale. Elle valorise les pratiques éco-responsables, les circuits courts et l'accueil en petite capacité. Cette agence encourage aussi et accompagne ceux qui souhaitent obtenir l'écolabel européen. Et nous avons beaucoup travaillé dans le domaine. Elle promeut également l'agritourisme et les séjours immersifs dans les villages, dans l'arrière-pays, en lien direct avec nos producteurs et nos artisans, car le tourisme peut devenir un véritable moteur des arrière-pays et en particulier du monde rural. Mais pour une véritable transition écologique du tourisme, l'Union doit nous accompagner dans une stratégie claire, souple et différenciée selon les destinations. Il nous faut des investissements ciblés pour l'accessibilité, ça a été dit il y a un instant par notre collègue, notamment portuaire et aéroportuaire, car le développement durable passe par une desserte équitable sur tous les territoires. Une mobilisation aussi transversale des fonds européens, nous connaissons les difficultés pour le prochain MFF, mais par une combinaison de différents fonds de cohésion, nous pourrons soutenir les acteurs du tourisme. Et enfin, une protection active des langues, des cultures et du patrimoine immatériel de nos territoires. Monsieur le Commissaire, faisons en sorte que chaque territoire européen puisse accueillir sans s'abîmer et transmettre sans se trahir.
Merci beaucoup. Zdeněk Hryb.
Yes, well, dear Apostolos, thank you very much for the opportunity to share our view on the future of the tourism in our cities. I will not ask you for the money this time, but I will use my time to emphasize that over-tourism is a real problem, and believe me, because Prague remains one of Europe's most visited urban destinations. Before COVID, we had similar numbers as Rome, and the numbers are getting back. But there is also a downside of this success. It's not just late-night noise, but, of course, it is about the housing. And I know that over-tourism isn't the only factor, but it plays a significant role in making central neighborhoods less affordable and less livable. And I, of course, welcome the recent adoption of the EU short-term rental regulation, but for cities like Prague, the implementation will be the key, and I would like to urge the Commission to ensure a real platform transparency, access to data, and strong support for enforcement at the local level. So still, the Airbnb remains a problem. We are shifting our approach, however. Our goal is to not just attract more visitors, but to do in a way that respects the rhythm of the city, and the technology and data are central to this shift. So we've got this nice sustainable Prague digital platform. There are real-time indicators on housing, mobility and quality of life, and it helps us track whether our development is truly sustainable. But to show you more, I would like to invite you to Prague. Personally, I will show you all the downsides of the over-tourism in our cities, of course, including the Prague pubs, and I believe that you won't find a better guide for this. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the 1-minute interventions. 1 minute, everyone. Francisca Ramos Pons.
Señor comisario, desde las Islas Baleares queremos expresarle el acierto por esta futura estrategia de turismo sostenible en la Unión Europea, donde el turismo representa el 9,7% del PIB y da empleo al 11,1%. Esta estrategia necesita de una visión sistémica del turismo con un enfoque territorial que refuerce la competitividad equilibrada del sistema y contribuya a la economía circular, a la transición ecológica, digital y social de las regiones europeas. La estrategia tiene que dar soluciones, entre otras, a una gestión eficiente de los flujos a través de la implementación de sistemas inteligentes de distribución temporal y espacial de los visitantes, regular el alojamiento turístico, estimular la innovación y emprendimiento, promover una movilidad sostenible y una conectividad equilibrada. El turismo ha de contribuir proactivamente a la prosperidad de los territorios, al bienestar de residentes y visitantes y tiene en las Islas Baleares un aliado comprometido. Gracias.
Gracias. Roberto Galtieri, Roma.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, dear Apostolos, and welcome home. As you rightly said, tourism is a crucial industry which provides jobs and revenues for our cities, therefore should not be fought, but for sure it should be regulated in order to make it more sustainable and balanced. In this respect, the strategy you are working on is crucial in order to give concrete support by the European Commission to those local policies and actions aimed at making tourism more balanced and sustainable, more integrated with the life of the cities, of the territories where tourism flows arise. In this respect, and thank you for your mention to Julia, digitalization and AI can be a powerful provider to address the risk of bad tourism and provide more balance and information to all tourists. So I invite everybody to give a look to Julia. Finally, if you want to avoid a fight between residents and tourists, you must support the public policy for housing and support the programme of Mayor for Housing. Otherwise, the alternative would be considering tourists enemies of the good housing. We don't want that, so we need public policies in support of public housing. Thank you.
Grazie. Magdalena Czarzinska.
Hello, I'm the mayor of Sopot, Polish tourist city, and for me, sustainable tourism means, above all, that our residents feel like true hosts, needed, respected, comfortable, not like outsiders. Of course, we have to regulate short-term rentals to supporting local business. This is obvious. But in Sopot, we go further, and we have to create our culture, sports, leisure offer, but also investment, even from European funds, in the way that serves not only our visitors, but first and foremost our residents. We want them to enjoy these events and spaces. I believe that it's worth promoting the idea of spending free time in your own city. We must avoid the creation of places that exist only for tourists, places that often became empty and lifeless outside the season. Instead, we want to build a strong, living communities that benefit from tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Dimitrios Ptochos.
Thank you very much. I will take the advantage of Apostolos to speak in Greek. Η Πελοπόννησος, στην οποία είμαι περιφερειάρχης, δεν είναι απλώς ένας προορισμός. Είναι ένα μέρος του προορισμού Ευρώπη. Μοιραζόμαστε την ευθύνη για τη βιώσιμη μετάβαση του ευρωπαϊκού τουρισμού και δεσμευόμαστε να εφαρμόσουμε πολιτικές συνεργασίες ανάμεσα στους επιμέρους ευρωπαϊκούς τόπους, αναδεικνύοντας τη Μεσόγειο και την Ευρώπη ως ενιαίο, υπεύθυνο και ανταγωνιστικό προορισμό, όπως πολύ ωραία το περιγράψατε. Επενδύουμε σε αυθεντικές και βιώσιμες εμπειρίες, όπως τα Peloponnese Trails, τα Immersive Experiences και οι πολιτιστικές διαδρομές. Εφαρμόζουμε μηχανισμούς συμμετοχικής διακυβέρνησης και εισάγουμε σύστημα με δείκτες παρακολούθησης του πραγματικού κοινωνικού, περιβαλλοντικού και οικονομικού αποτυπώματος του τουρισμού. Δημιουργούμε DMOs και τα στελεχώνουμε. Παίρνουμε πρωτοβουλίες, αλλά είμαστε και έτοιμοι να υποστηρίξουμε όλες τις πολιτικές για περισσότερες και καλύτερες συνέργειες. Συνέργειες με τομείς και στρατηγικές όπως αυτές για το περιβάλλον, τη διαχείριση των υδάτων, τις συνδυασμένες μεταφορές, την τεχνολογία, την ευρυζωνικότητα, την απλοποίηση, τη στέγαση. Πιστεύουμε σε έναν τουρισμό που δεν μετρά μόνο αφίξεις, αλλά δημιουργεί αξία, που μορφώνει τους ανθρώπους, γεφυρώνει τις αποστάσεις και φέρνει κοντά τους λαούς της Ευρώπης, του κόσμου, με περισσότερη συνοχή. Πιστεύουμε ότι δουλεύοντας περισσότερο μαζί μπορούμε να πετύχουμε έναν καλύτερο τουρισμό για όλους. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Irina Taviste.
Dear Commissioner, President, dear colleagues, I am taking this excellent opportunity to deliver my speech in Estonian. Minu kodulinn Pärnu omab pea 2 sajandi pikkust ajalugu kuurordina. Oleme uhked oma kuurordi ajaloo üle ning suutnud traditsioone kestvalt hoida ka tänapäevases kiiresti muutuvas ühiskonnas. Me usume, et turism ei tohi olla vaid hooajaline majanduse elavdaja, vaid peab toetama kohaliku kogukonna heaolu, looduse hoidmist ning kultuurilise identiteedi säilimist aastaringselt. Me soovime kutsuda Euroopa tasandil suunama rohkem tähelepanu ja investeeringuid just väiksematesse sihtkohtadesse, et leevendada ületurismi suurtes keskustes ning läbi selle toetada kohalikku arengut. Väiksemad linnad pakuvad külalistele sageli vahetumaid, jätkusuutlikumaid ja kultuuriliselt rikastuvamaid elamusi. Pärnu on panustanud ja soovib jätkuvalt panustada Euroopa-ülesesse koostöösse, et leida lahendusi ranniku- ja loodusturismi kestlikkuse tagamiseks. Tänan teid.
Tanja Hristova, and I will have to close the debate soon.
Dear Commissioner, thank you for the opportunity to be together. And thank you for bringing to the fore the very important topic for sustainable tourism, an area where the local and regional authorities are not just stakeholders, but they are really, and we are really change makers. The European Union strategic vision from the Green Deal to the transition pathway for tourism provides really a strong foundation, but it is our cities, regions and villages where this vision becomes tangible reality. Sustainable tourism is really very important for our economies, but it must also preserve our nature, our heritage and also our identity, which means that we need investing in models and having at our disposal tools that will protect our resources, support local producers and create, of course, jobs. The European Committee of the Regions is an area where we discuss very often and frequently how important the local and regional authorities are, and this is where, if we grant them the mission to lead, we can have greener and safer Europe. Thank you.
Fabrizio Santori.
Signor Presidente, onorevoli colleghi, oggi parlare di turismo sostenibile significa affrontare una delle grandi sfide identitarie, economiche e territoriali dell'Unione Europea. Non è solo una questione ambientale, di buone pratiche, è una battaglia di civiltà, di giustizia sociale e di autodeterminazione economica per i nostri territori. Serve una discontinuità, serve un'Europa che non imponga modelli standardizzati dall'alto, ma che ascolti i sindaci, i piccoli imprenditori, gli operatori locali, le famiglie che vivono il turismo ogni giorno, nei centri storici, nei borghi, sulle coste, nei parchi naturali. Le grandi città in particolare sono sotto assedio. Prendiamo il caso di Roma, Venezia, Firenze, Barcellona, città magnifiche ma soffocate da un turismo ingestibile. Sono diventate dei parchi tematici, un aumento vertiginoso dei costi degli alloggi per i residenti, desertificazione commerciale dei centri storici. L'Europa dunque deve modificare un'azione importante, significa dare dignità ai territori, sicurezza ai cittadini, prospettive alle imprese. Chiediamo che il turismo torni ad essere una leva di benessere locale, non un meccanismo di estrazione di ricchezza. Significa proteggere l'identità europea senza renderla una caricatura. Grazie.
Grazie. Karine Gloanek-Moran, then one more and then I close.
Thanks, Madam President. For us to be able to develop sustainable, we need adaptable and focused assistance, not only to develop locally based models of tourism, but also sustainable access to those tourism locations. Many areas, such as my own County Laois, has limited public transport access from the main airports, and this means that there is an over-concentration of tourists being drawn to the main cities. So I would like to see sustainable tourism not only being year-round, but also better distributed access across regions. We need to boost initiatives such as Ireland's Ancient East, where we can highlight some of our cultural heritage and folklore. Small-scale visits to these sites have a huge positive impact on communities. Our natural environment is also a resource which is beneficial to the tourist industry, but it must be protected. In my county, this would relate to the Slieve Bloom Mountains. So I would call for more investment via cohesion and other funding for sustainable transport to access some rural areas currently programmed under the Just Transition funding in Laois, and more focus on locally based sustainable tourism cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The last one, still Yanos Angeloudis from Thessaloniki.
Κύριε Πρόεδρε, κύριε Επίτροπε, σας ευχαριστώ πολύ. Στη Θεσσαλονίκη επιμένουμε καθημερινά στη δυναμική αλλά και τα όρια του σημερινού μοντέλου τουριστικής ανάπτυξης. Θέλουμε ένα τουρισμό που να προσφέρει προστιθέμενη αξία στις κοινωνίες μας και θα πρέπει να εγκαταλείψουμε τη λογική τόσο περισσότερο τόσο καλύτερο. Ο τουρισμός για μας είναι μια ευκαιρία για κοινωνική συνοχή, βιωσιμότητα και ανθεκτικότητα, όχι απειλή για το περιβάλλον ή τους κατοίκους. Γι' αυτό και επενδύουμε συνειδητά σε ένα μοντέλο που υπηρετεί τον τόπο και όχι το αντίστροφο. Άκουσα με ιδιαίτερη ικανοποίηση τον κύριο Επίτροπο για τις ανακοινώσεις που έκανε και θα ήθελα να του πω ότι πραγματικά χρειαζόμαστε ευρωπαϊκές πολιτικές. Ευρωπαϊκές πολιτικές για τη βραχυχρόνια μίσθωση, ευρωπαϊκές πολιτικές για τη στέγαση, αλλά και ειδικά χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία. Χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία που θα στηρίζουν τις ειδικές μορφές τουρισμού, χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία που θα στηρίξουν τη διασυνδεσιμότητα των πόλεων, γιατί κακά τα ψέματα δεν έχουν όλες οι πόλεις την ίδια δυνατότητα διασύνδεσης. Για όλους αυτούς τους λόγους θα ήθελα, κύριε Επίτροπε, πραγματικά να σας πω ότι περιμένουμε με ιδιαίτερη θα έλεγα προσμονή τις αποφάσεις σας, τις αποφάσεις της κοινότητας και κυρία Πρόεδρε σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thank you so much. I'm closing the debate now. Dear Commissioner, dear Apostolos, thank you very much for coming. We promise you the first day that you will be part of our team cohesion, and you were asking for the number one, first president who become commissioner.
Thank you so much.
And the goalkeeper. So be our goalkeeper.
Thank you very
in
much.
the European Commission, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Really nice. Let me say goodbye. Thank you very much for this very interesting debate. I understand that you have my colleague now on agriculture for a debate, so we will not have time to exchange. But rest assured that I'm here, available to you anytime to have a debate again, either on tourism or on other issues of my portfolio. And always remember, I am part of this wonderful team in the Committee of Regions. Thank you very much.